Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Hunter x Hunter 2011 episode 84 review. This week's episode of Hunter x Hunter 2011. Yo, bro. A lot of things about this week's episode of Hunter x Hunter that are very important to note, to keep in mind for the future, and for the episode itself. But the main thing is the introduction of one of the royal guard that will serve the king once he is born. Neferpitu. Kind of cat-like chimera ant girl. Yo. I mean, well, first of all, let's get out of the way. Pokel's dead. The dude's dead. He's gone. And he's not going out in, like, the most, honorific, heroic ways. No, he got brain probed, and then he got chucked to the side like he was garbage, literally. And the thing about it is that in the manga, like you see in the anime, like she has the antenna from one of these Chimerian soldiers that she's using to literally brain probe Poco and get the information about Nen from him. And the thing about it is that in the manga, Togashi was not that merciful. He was not that merciful. Because in the manga, it's like, okay, well, you know what? We're going to show you the fucking brain as she's doing this, and she has like mad antennas in his brain. And then once she's done learning information, the pig comes in, grabs Pokel, and then starts chopping into pieces so he can make his human meatball, so he can feed to the queen. So in the manga, Togashi is not that merciful. In the anime, it was still horrific, but it wasn't as horrific. But still, it was still a good scene nonetheless. Especially the shading and the outline. When at that particular scene, we have Kite going and Killua, and they're running, and like the moon is red, and the entire all the animation is tinted in red. And then we cut over to the Chimera Ant, nest, and basically it's like we basically have like just. We don't see his full body, but like we see the shading of him, like a sub silhouette, and like we see his face, and he's talking, and his eyes are completely wide open, and it's safe to assume that at this point in time, he's either he's not dead at this point in time. He's not dead, but it's just that she literally probed his mind, and he can't do anything about it. Like he's fucked, and so like it's just and like the dude's like butt naked. In fact, I think even the manga too, like it was more freaky. Because in the manga, it was like she was fucking around with certain parts of his brain, and then it was like he was making like sounds like euphoria, like and it was like what the fuck? It was mad weird. So, like, but either way, the scene is not, unless you're some kind of weird motherfucker, the scene is not exactly a pleasant scene to watch. And what's very important to note, number one, is to see the rate at which they're able to learn and develop the Chimera Ants. We see this in Neferpitu, where not only is she able, because Pengi was considered the smart dude amongst the squadron leaders. However, the Royal Guard, she comes in there, she spends like a few minutes with the books, and then she's able to learn about the specific parts of the brain where in which she can retract recent memory and old memory from, particularly about Nen. Not only that, but when she learns about the water method, where you can tell which category you belong to in Nen, she does it on the spot. She doesn't have to get punched and like open her pores and like get the Nen infused and awakened with her. No, she doesn't need that. I mean, going and kill what they needed that. Rammot, he needed that. So did Colt. But the Royal Guard, no, she just does it on the spot, and she's a specialist category, because the leaf on top of the water withered away. So it's the rate at which these creatures learn. When it came to the squadron leaders and the captains, that was pretty damn fast. When it comes to the Royal Guard, it's horrifying because these creatures can literally spend a few minutes at a time and they can learn and retain information where it'll take a normal person a few weeks or days to do so. So it's like the Chimera Ants are a massive threat just in the capacity of them developing, intelligence-wise and physically-wise. So that's number one about the episode. Number two is that when we cut over back to Hyagya, because basically the episode is divided in a two quadrants. We have the Gon Killua Kite Hyagya section, and then we have the Rammot Neferpitu section. And basically, the whole thing is that Hyagya, and this is he's the first Chimera Ant to showcase this to this degree. We've seen Colt showcase it, but not to like a high degree. And he remembers bits and pieces of his past. But Hyagya, he remembers specifically about his life back in the past when he was a lion, when he was a full-blooded lion, not warped chimera human lion. No, he remembers when he was a lion, and he says how his world revolved around his claws and his teeth, and how he thought that he was on top of the world. He thought that he was the king, and until he met those who are stronger, meaning that chimera ants who came in there, who killed a lion, who fed the lion to the queen, and then he was born from that. And basically, or maybe the queen herself killed the lion. I don't know. I don't know when exactly a lion was eaten in the process. I have no idea. But basically, a lion was. And so, what's very important to note is that some of these chimera ants distinctly remember what occurred in their previous life. In Colt's case, he's on and off. He remembers the name of his former mother, and he remembers the name of his sister, I believe, but he doesn't really know what's going on there exactly. In fact, when he saw for the memory, he didn't kill her. All right, when they were culling that particular village, he did not go and kill his mother and send her to the queen, because there was a connection there, and he felt it. But Hyagya, he distinctly remembers what happens: him killing zebras, him eating zebras, and then satiating his appetite with those claws and teeth. He remembers that distinctly. So that's very important. All right. So not only do they have, and that's not really like a threat category. More so, it's just very intriguing. It's very fascinating that these creatures can remember what occurred in their past lives. That's very fascinating. Now, the next part about the episode, all right, is that there's a little filler, not a big deal, but basically, just to notify you guys, the whole entire scene where we see, like, the one flying guy who's right next to Hyagya, and we see them, like, giving chase to go and kill a kite, that does happen in the manga. But, I mean, again, it's not a big deal. I mean, it was still an interesting scene. Basically, he winds up killing those flying bugs in the same way he did the other captains when they fall in that forest area, where he uses the slot machine and he gets the scythe again, and then he just cuts he cuts the circle, and then the soldiers die pretty much. So, I mean, that's the way it is. But not a big deal. And what's very important is that when it comes to some of the squadron leaders, like we see again Hyagya, he was able to understand. We saw this in Colt beforehand, where Colt specifically used Rammot to test the powers of the rare ones. And when Rammot was defeated by Gon and Killua, Colt grabbed Rammot from the sky, and then he went back to the base. He went back to the nest. Hyagya, he sees kites, and just by seeing it, he understands the power gap. He understands that this guy is on a whole new level. He's on a whole new scale, and I can't fuck with him. All right, but we do have the ability to learn and develop. So he calmly retreated alongside with his two companions, his two cohorts. And then, even though Rammot is not a squadron leader, he is the first Chimera Ant to develop Nen. And in doing so, when he saw Neferpitu, which will lead to my next point, he was able to understand right then and there just how outclassed he was. I mean, he was able to fuck with Cole. You know, he's like, Cole, yeah, I mean, I know you want the name, but you kind of pissing me off, bro. Like, he was able to fuck with Cole very easily. He had no problem with that at all. In fact, he was ecstatic about it. He's like, yeah, I gotta punch Cole in the fucking face. Man, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. Neferpitou can't even fucking go near. All he can do is cringe and bow. That's all he can do. Just look at her, realize that his dream he just had a few minutes ago had short-lived dream, gone. And all he could do was bow like a bitch. Just, that's all he could do. Because the power gap was so immense. And she was just born. She was just born, bro. And all you can do is bow. Like, fuck. I can't do anything else. And the next point that I want to get into is because of Rammot's understanding of this power gap. With absolute power alone, on some Togoro shit. With absolute power. He understood that his purpose is to simply serve. To serve her, to serve the king. He, at that point in time, came to the realization that there is already a pre-established power system. And his foolhardy dreams of becoming the king do not coincide with the pre-established power system, with the pre-established setup of the queen, king, royal guard, squadron leaders, and the rest fall in line. So that was very fascinating just to see that, just to see his psyche, because a few episodes ago, he was the way he wanted to take out Gon, Killua, and Kite. How he wanted to kill them, eat them, crap in their skulls, step on their skulls, and so on and so forth. How he thought that because he was amongst the talented, he could become king. His psyche shifts. Just like that. Just by seeing her. And just by her putting her hand on his head. And understand, and the way it was depicted, it was like there was this massive, powerful beast just holding him down. And this dude was sweating like he was sweating. Just by that alone, his entire psychological, basically his pre-established notions were completely altered. Just by that alone. And he understood that all he had, that his power, the strength he had attained, was not for himself, but for others. So that's very intriguing. That's very fascinating. I like that a lot. And basically, like, you see him, and at that point in time, now that the threat of having to possibly die from Neferpitou is away, he's willing to follow her, and like we see him, like he's chasing her, and there's like the light in the background and shit, and then we see a shadow of some dude like right here. So, and the dude is the same guy in the opening, so you know, right there again. So, and that's the way it is. So that was very nice. The way the anime did that part was actually very nice, very, very well depicted. Just to see the psychological shift, just to see the alteration in character of Rammot was very nice to see. Very nice. And then aside from that, because we didn't get to see any fighting, and again, the whole entire poker thing was fucked up, and he's gone. He's adios, amigos. Aside from that, I mean, oh yeah, and now we know that Gon, Killua, and Kite are tailing Hagia and his boys as they go back to the nest. And Kite was mentioning in last week's episode of Hunter x Hunter that he was missing something, that something was off. Something was off. And this may involve the introduction of this royal guard. This may involve, because so far he thought that things were, proceeding very nicely, even though he felt that something was wrong. In essence, he felt that something was actually, in reality, he felt that things are proceeding very nicely, because the captains and the squadron leaders were able to be dispatched quite easily. In fact, he was able to take out Yunju, who's a squadron leader, very easily. Very easily. He fucked with him. It was like, fuck you, bro, shoot. But now all of a sudden we see the Royal Guard come in and say, maybe things aren't going to be as easy as you first thought. So keep that in mind. Because he feels that something is wrong. He feels someone is good, that there's something off. I'm missing something. And he's only faced off against like one squadron leader and a bunch of pussy-ass captains. But now in comes the Royal Guard, and, well, we'll go on from there, pretty much. And aside from that, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So the episode overall, that's a damn good... Yeah. The episode is teetering between great and amazing. I'll give it amazing because I thought it was very nice. Cryptic. There is filler, but but it's very minute and like you can bypass it because it's not really a big deal at all. So, I'll give it a great plus. I'll give it a great plus episode of Hunter x Hunter. All right, I really will. And that's only because of the fact that I know what's filler or not. So, and my manga bias is gonna come in there at some point. So, if I was a non-manga reader, I'd probably give it an amazing. But since I am a manga reader, I'll give it a great plus. So, not a huge decrease, but a decrease nonetheless. So I'm done. King Lightning. Be sure, of course, rate, comment, and and Colt. Colt now has net. He sees the aura. He's happy. He's like, yeah, I got let's go. So he's ready to go. And that's it. And now we're gonna see. And by the way, Neferpitou, she mentioned. Well, let me say it one more time. Right? Hold on. Let me take some goat's milk right here. Yeah, that's right, goat's milk. Don't question me. Oh my god. All right. Neferpitou mentioned how the process by which Rammot and Ko have learned Nen, the whole entire poor thing, well, maybe other people can do that too. So it appears that now they're going to try and do the whole entire punching and trying to forcibly infuse their Nen on other soldiers and other squadron leaders and other captains, so they too can awaken Nen. Because she mentioned that. So now I'm done. Episode rating overall is great plus, and I'm signing out. Peace. Have a nice day. Salute.